There are occasions when an environment reveals its limits not through failure, but through adaptation. A system built on separation, order, and control encounters something that does not fully comply, yet does not fully disrupt. We tend to believe that boundaries are fixed, that roles are clearly defined, and that every presence within a managed space must serve a specific purpose. But sometimes an element enters that operates outside those assumptions, moving freely between categories without invitation or permission. Responses follow familiar paths: attempts to restrict, efforts to explain, gradual resignation, and eventually a quieter adjustment where resistance gives way to accommodation. What remains to be considered is not why such anomalies appear, but what they reveal about the structures around them, and how easily even the most carefully maintained systems bend. When persistence outlasts opposition.
Dee Dee, the orange tabby, had long been a peculiar fixture at the local zoo. Visitors often marveled at the sight of her, with her glossy fur and piercing amber eyes, casually strolling past the gates and into the zoo's sprawling grounds. She arrived multiple times each month, seemingly with purpose, though her behavior left many scratching their heads. You see, Dee Dee harbored a strange and undeniable animosity toward the lions and leopards housed at the zoo, though no one quite understood why. Her tactic was simple: relentless provocation. She would creep right up to the cages, often slipping in and out through small openings, drawing closer to her targets with a level of boldness few could comprehend. Once within proximity, she would sit and stare, occasionally sticking out her tongue or making exaggerated yawning motions, as if mocking the very essence of their royal demeanor. The lions, with their golden manes, and the leopards, with their sleek coats, would grow visibly agitated. It became a ritual of sorts. The animals would pace, growl, and swipe at the air, but never quite catching the tabby, who always seemed to be a whisker's breadth away from danger. And when things got particularly intense, Dee Dee would vanish, darting out of the cages with a grace that left the zookeepers in stunned frustration. The rest of the zoo's inhabitants, however, seemed to get along with Dee Dee just fine. She was unusually close with the female cheetah. The two would often be found lounging together, side by side, rolling in the grass like two old friends. The sight was always a curious one: an orange tabby with a sleek, majestic cheetah, both at ease in each other's company. They would purr and nuzzle each other, and on occasion, the cheetah would even bat at Dee Dee with its paws, gently and with affection. This friendship seemed to transcend the natural order, and it became a source of fascination for visitors and zookeepers alike. Dee Dee's social circle extended beyond the cheetah. The baboons, with their playful antics, took to the tabby's presence with ease. She would often be seen perched atop their enclosures, flicking her tail as they mimicked her every move. The dolphins also enjoyed her company. The tabby was regularly spotted by the dolphin tank, watching in wide-eyed wonder as the creatures leapt gracefully from the water, often appearing to communicate in some unspoken way. Dee Dee would often be seen standing on her hind legs and resting her front paws against the glass with the dolphins swimming towards her, performing acrobatic spins and twirls to Dee Dee's delight while she trilled and purred. There was one exception to Dee Dee's otherwise unshakable confidence: the orca. Unlike the cheetah, baboons, or the dolphins, the orca did not share her affection. While Dee Dee bonded with the dolphins, often seen perched by their pool, the orca grew frustrated. It tried to impress her, mimicking the dolphins' playful moves with power and speed, but Dee Dee remained indifferent. The orca's jealousy grew. It noticed that Dee Dee preferred the dolphins and began to retaliate. One afternoon, in an outburst of anger, the orca defecated into the water and splashed it directly at Dee Dee, who recoiled in shock and fled. It was the one time that Dee Dee was caught off guard. She was seen far off into the distance, hissing angrily, and disappeared for several days, eventually returning as if nothing happened. It was clear that the orca's crude act had rattled her, and from that point on, Dee Dee avoided the orca's pool, ignoring the giant creature as if it didn't exist. Still, the zookeepers were less amused by Dee Dee's behavior. They had long grown tired of her constant antagonizing of the lions and leopards. It wasn't just the mockery that upset them. It was the toll it took on the animals. The constant stress was evident in the predators' behavior, their agitation a sign of their discomfort. Yet, they could not fathom why Didi targeted them while forming such amicable relationships with other animals. It simply didn't make sense. Despite their best efforts to deter her, no one could catch Didi. She was an expert in avoiding capture, darting away whenever she sensed danger. And when she wasn't avoiding the zookeepers, she was up to her usual tricks, slipping into the kitchen to swipe food. Nothing seemed to faze her. As word of Didi's exploits spread, she became a legend. Visitors from all over the world flocked to the zoo, hoping to catch a glimpse of the elusive tabby who would visit at her own whim. She had become something of a celebrity, her every move observed with admiration and awe. Her presence alone changed the entire atmosphere of the zoo, and the animals seemed to sense when she was near, as if they too recognized her special place within their world. No matter what the zookeepers tried, whether it was installing barriers, tightening security, or setting up elaborate traps, nothing seemed to deter Didi. She continued to do as she pleased, and the zoo, begrudgingly, began to accept her as part of its odd family. One day, as the zookeepers were deep in thought, brainstorming ways to keep Didi out of the lion and leopard enclosures for good, a thought struck them. What if they gave Didi her own space? A place where she could visit the zoo freely but have her own territory. A place where she could lounge, sleep, and perhaps even entertain her visitors without causing any more distress to the other animals. It didn't take long before the zoo staff outfitted a special area for Didi. It was a luxurious space, with the best cat tree from PetSmart and an assortment of toys scattered about. She had a cozy bed, plenty of sun to bask in, and even a small window to observe the outside world. Though she didn't spend much time looking out, she was too busy being the queen of her own domain. Surprisingly, Didi seemed pleased with this arrangement. She no longer harbored the same level of antagonism toward the lions and leopards. Though she still visited them occasionally, it was now a less stressful interaction. She would sit on the edge of her cage, watching them from a distance, but no longer provoking them with her usual antics. Instead, she seemed content in her new space, enjoying the company of the cheetah, the baboons, and the dolphins whenever she pleased. In the end, Didi became a permanent member of the zoo family. She still came and went as she wished, slipping out of her enclosure to explore when she felt like it, but always returning to her space, where she could rest and enjoy the fruits of her bizarre, legendary existence. And though nobody ever figured out the root of her animosity toward the lions and leopards, the zookeepers were content, knowing that at least she had found her place. Didi, the tabby who answered to no one, had finally become a part of the zoo family, her wild adventures now a cherished chapter in the story of the zoo's eccentric residents.